Okay, so this is the inaugural numero uno first episode of Urban Intelligence. The first guest that we have on today is a friend, someone who I've known for, would you say, Brian, 20, 25 years?
Just about, maybe longer.
One of the most stand-up, genuine best men that I know, and now he is the president of the Republic Resurrect Committee. When I was shooting around the ideas with my staff about who we was going to have as the first guest, we had a couple different suggestions, but then when Brian, we talked about it, and it almost seemed like it was divine, like it was meant to be. So I'm honored and humbled to have my friend Brian Crawley as the first guest of Urban Intelligence. How you doing, bud?
Hey, how are you doing, Greg? Nice to be here, and it's an honor being on here.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So, like I said, Brian, the whole format of Urban Intelligence is just to have conversation. I don't want this to seem like an interview. So we'll just get started by how did you become the president of the committee?
Well, Greg, I had a vision. I had a dream one night. I says, well, you know, in this dream, I was walking down Republic, and it was like heaven in Republic. Not to sound corny or anything, but there were shops there were lights there, and people were just going back and forth, and there was positivity and love. And driving past every day, from work, and remembering on how it was before, and I just thought it was time for a change.
Absolutely. And so, how did it come about? Was there several of you who had this idea, or you started it and then it caught on? Because I see it on Facebook. I mean, the membership is growing, and how many subscribers you got is unbelievable.
Well, I went on the Hub of Republic, and I just voiced my opinion. I says, well, why not us? I says, an inspiration from Brownsville, seeing them change everything down there, and going on YouTube and doing research, I seen how small towns from down south were changing and coming up for the better. And I seen smiles on people's face, and it just, it was a change from what it is today, the world today. So I said, well, why not give it a shot, And next, a lot of people on there, on my comment, there were like over hundreds of comments on there. And I says, well, let's put together a committee. So I did that. And that was my first committee. But I've moved on and started another committee. That's a long story, but I'm preaching positivity here. And we have gotten a lot of things done so far. Down Republic, we've planted plants, we've cleaned up, we've did shrubs, and we have a lot more ideas, but we're taking small steps for right now. And our group is more about cleaning up and bringing positivity and change to the community, and I hope it catches on with everybody else.
Well, like I said, I could just say from being on not the outside, but just like I just moved back from Harrisburg, so I was gone for 2 years. So to come back and like a lot has changed in 2 years just in the area. I'm talking about Uniontown, you're going on 40, Brownsville, downtown Brownsville. There's actually like business back downtown Brownsville.
Right.
Mohair's one of them. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just a beautiful thing to see, and then for you to have the courage. It takes courage to be able to launch and do something and have just the fortitude to be able to. Because like you have a life, you have a family, you have a job. So to add this on your plate is a big thing. A lot of people, I don't want to call it selfish because everybody has to live their life, but for you to sacrifice time, which you know what I mean, like your free time to put towards something like this, it's just a beautiful thing, man. And so, but Republic's all in there and dear to you. So let's get into that. Like, where are you from? Like the area. Just give a little bit of perspective of like the area growing up.
Well, I'm originally from Cardell, right next door to Republic. Some people call it East Republic. Going down there like as a kid, the Capuzzi's, Calvarussis, Charlie Angeloni's, which was a shoe store, Redstone Pharmacy, and just looking back, on how it was at one time, it was a sad thing for me. And, I'm not saying I can bring business back there because that's not in my realm, but just to beautify Republic and clean up, maybe there is a chance that somebody will take that chance on Republic and bring things down there. I trust in our township. They got our best interest in mind. And I think, with collaboration between us and them, I think we'll make it.
Absolutely. And like I said, I mean, the response that you're getting, like a lot of people start committees and different things, but the response that you're getting, it's humbling, and I'm so happy for you. Like you are the perfect, and I'm not just saying this because you're a friend or you're like on the podcast. I'm telling you, I would tell you this if it was me and you at Walmart in an aisle talking. Like you're a good dude, and it takes somebody like you who, even like I said, we had this conversation off air before we started. You've just always been a straight, solid man your whole life, and that's obviously indicament of how you was raised and the structure that you was born with, and you had like you and Heather, and you can see, I mean, it manifests itself in you guys as an adult. You see Heather's doing real good with her life. You see your life. So
There is. Yep.
that's a direct correlation from good parenting, which we was talking about. People are getting away from nowadays.
Well, I tell you what, Greg, I've always believed in the each one teach one method, and things in life. Like me and you were growing up, we had our fathers, our mothers, we had important male figures too, as in coaches, teachers, any aspect of life when it comes to like good women and men out there. A lot of times we thought they were hard on us, but actually they were trying to teach us. They always say it takes a community to raise a child,
Absolutely.
and a lot of that doesn't exist nowadays because we live in a me generation, but it's up to me and you and others to change that. And with God behind us, anything is possible.
100%. And even when I began to start Urban Intelligence, this process actually took 2 years for me for final completion until we have literally today, we're launching the first podcast. And it started with just that idea, like if it's easy just to push them, well, somebody else will do something. You know what I mean? And if you keep waiting for somebody else to make the first step on doing something, it's never going to get done. Somebody has to be the one to make the initial jump to show it's not from where you're at. It's not what you've been through, your background, your history. It's about, like I said, and I'm not pushing religion on anybody, but obviously, like I'm a Christian and I put God first. If you keep
Amen.
that literally as your foundation, and that is like the foundation that you stand on, and then you put the work and the effort into anything, like you can make it from anywhere. People look at people like Jay-Z and Puffy and LeBron James, and they look at them almost like they're mythical figures. No, these are guys from the slums too. They just had
Yeah.
a dream and faith and belief, and now they're worth billions of dollars. But we lionize them and put them on like this, like, oh my God, this is this person. They're regular people who had a dream and belief who could do that from right here. But the problem is, Brian, like with the drug epidemic that came over the last 30 years from crack to now the heroin and opiates, when you see people like the people who are put on the pedestals or people who like are on the streets, that's who kids seem to flock after.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's who they want to emulate and be like. So it takes somebody like a Brian Crawley to start this committee and for people to say, hey, that's something cool to do.
Right. And I feel this way since, I started and my committee members and you guys as members who my group page have started it. We could pass this on to other generations, Greg. It doesn't have to stop with us, and this thing can go as far as we take it, and I believe, big things are going to come. But like they say, it takes small steps, but leaders lead from the front and followers lead from the back.
You're 100%. And again, like I don't want to keep belaboring and reiterating the point, but like we both came from strong male figures in our life. We both had strong dads who were there to set that example. You know what I mean? So even though
Right.
we were talking about this off here as well, like me and you are a perfect, almost a simile to like how two different people can take two different roads who came from basically the same type of structure of family. Like you had mom and dad in the house, I had mom and dad in the house. My dad was a strong disciplinarian working man. Yours was too. But
Right.
at some point in time, like I veered, and when 15, 16, 17 years old, when you're at your most impressionable, instead of going home to practice some basketball, like I'd rather be out in the projects. Not
Right.
necessarily doing bad things. I just wanted to be around the action. You know what I mean? But with you as you stay fast, you stay the course, you remain and disciplined on what you're doing, playing sports, and so that's what that those primitive years in our life made our 20s like totally different.
Well, Greg, the thing is, like I told you before our interview, I've always went by what Rocky said in one of his films, Frankie Fear. Frankie Fear is your best friend. You know, I always thought about the repercussions when I did things. I thought things through, and um, that's the reason why I stayed out of those situations. But there is nothing wrong with listening to a person that's been there and done that. You know what I mean? A person that's gotten in trouble and reformed their life. You never give up on anybody, because I believe Jesus went to the ones that needed religion. He didn't go to the ones that already had religion. He wants to save souls. He don't want to save the souls that are already saved, you know, and those people could teach you something. And you know, instead of you getting in trouble and stuff, you could talk to these people and say, well, what happened to you in that situation? And that's what's good, to have people like that around you. I can credit myself from talking to people that's been to jail or been in trouble for something. And you know what? It talked me out of it, and look where I'm at today.
I mean, and that's what I said. You can take, there's so many case studies that you can take, and you can take the same situation, but to see that the choices that certain people made, and I could sit there and tell you why their 20s turned out that way and their 20s turned out that way. You know what I mean? And it's really simple, but if you have more positive things, and like I said, there's something that like kids are going to gravitate towards something. It's just what do they have to gravitate towards. So now with having like an urban intelligence, having the committee, having what Brownsville's doing, and now kids can, instead of like maybe going out and hanging out in the wrong area, they might go down to Republic and want to help think or help pick up things, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I agree, Greg, because I've said in my committee, and I've talked to other people, and I told them I would like to involve the youth in this, you know, because if they see you doing things and you just don't include them and you look down on them and stuff, you know, then that's when the ill feelings come in and they feel like they're shut out of different things. And what's so sad is there are kids that don't have parents that will take time out with them. But you know what? From what I've seen with friends growing up, certain friends, you know, they always had a coach or a teacher or a male figure or a female figure that, you know, that got them through in life, and they looked at them like a mother or father. And that's what I'm saying. If you include these kids into what you're doing, there won't be vandalism. There won't be things being broke. There won't be crime and stuff. And it takes time, but eventually things start to wear on people, and before you know it, it catches on like fire.
And you're 100% correct, and that leads me to like the next discussion I want to talk about. And we was talking about this also when we was kids, obviously with the corona now, so you can't really, it's not apples to apples as far as like the time frame, but say this was last summer, 2019 summer, when we was kids from ages 7 to 15, 16, you couldn't ride down the street in the community and not see 10, 20, 30 kids outside playing. Now all the kids are like buried into social media or on their phones or technology, and I think that has a lot to do with it too. Like kids don't go outside and play no more. Kids don't go to the park and play basketball or play football like in the street. Not like in like obviously being dangerous, but you know when a car comes, you stop. When the car goes, you pick back up again. Like we all did that, and you just don't see nothing. Everybody's just either on an iPhone, iPad, or laptop, and I think that's, we was talking about this too. Technology is a wonderful thing. It's made our lives like dramatically different. Like I'm talking to you and I can see you, and you're in Republic and I'm in my office. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Yeah.
technology can be great, but it also can be, if used too much. Go ahead. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, there's a fine line, like Bill Cowher used to say. There's a fine line in this business, but then there's a fine line in life. You know, I believe it works for the good and it works for the bad. I mean, technology has gotten us far in life. I mean, I believe God put the idea in man's head to come up with these situations, this technology to help man, but there should be a fine line with, you know, keeping old school values too, you know, and kids going out and experience nature and morals and things like that. You know, I was telling my wife earlier, what's sad is I'm not going to say every kid, because there are still good kids out there. You can't ignore that, and good people
Absolutely.
from that matter. But normally people nowadays, instead of opening the door for an old woman, they'll either walk ahead of them or slam the door in their face. And it's sad, a way people came.
And the fact that you said that, what I was working at the Sunoco, this is probably 7 years ago, 7, 8, I can't remember, probably 7, 8 years ago, which is the A plus, and in Brownsville. And I remember this, it was around July time, it was around July 4th, and she came in to get like 2 big bags of ice. So now, mind you, I'm the cashier, I'm behind the counter, so she pays for it, and she starts to go back because the ice cream keep all the way in the back. She started to go back there and lug them out, and I like stopped, had
Mm-hmm.
somebody come in, fill in for me at the cash register, and went back there and took them to her car. She tried to offer me money because it's so foreign for people to do that. I said, no, I don't want your money. Like, this is how I was raised to do this. I was raised,
Right.
if I seen an elderly person, like, you help them with their bags. If you
Right.
see an elderly person who's a neighbor, who's like, some people just like to cut grass, but some people just do it because they have to. So it was like 3 or 4 yards I did. Even when I had my landscaping company, I would cut for free just because that's how I was raised. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Yeah, same here. If you see an older person, they're struggling cutting grass or with their groceries, even need help across the street, I think people should pitch in life in general, with that situation and everything, because you know what? We're here to do God's work. I'm not pushing religion on anyone, because I don't know everyone's situation out there. You're free to do, worship or do whatever you feel, But as a Christian, I will say we're here to do God's work, and it's a test, and that's the thing. A lot of people don't see it that way, but I do, but the thing is, we have to change people's minds and hearts and souls by example, Greg.
I agree with you 100%, and that's also what we was talking about. That's getting back to old school morals and principles. Like, these kids, like, I still say no sir and yes ma'am to like all my moms, all my aunts. If a person's older than me, because some people don't like you to be called Mr. or Mrs. So until they tell me like, no, I don't like that, I'll call them Mr. or Mrs. I'll say yes sir, no ma'am to this day. I'm 38 years old. You know what I
Right.
mean? I hear kids who's 11, 12 who don't even say yes sir, no, don't say yes sir, no ma'am to their own parents,
Yeah.
let alone strangers. You know what I mean?
Right. And you know what? It should be that way, because
And
it
that type of
teaches.
behavior, it's learned, and then like I said, it just
And it teaches people, young children and teenagers too, discipline too. It teaches them discipline in the hierarchy. Those people are older than you, and they've been there before. And there's somebody you're supposed to look up to. But think times has changed so much. And you don't hear that as much. But respect never goes out of style, is what I think.
ever, ever, ever. And again, it's about becoming and putting ourselves. And I'm not just speaking about me and you. I'm talking about people who got like the same type of mindset that we have, to start coming to the forefront and planting our flags and showing like there is something else. And if you just scroll up and down your timeline on any of your social media, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, 75% of it is like activity, but it's like nobody's happy. You know what I mean? And it's like
Right.
either somebody's talking about somebody else, or they're trying to like show off for people, or all this other stuff. And it's just like 98% of people on there ain't living like their true self, because it's like you just want to be this perception of what you are. You know what I mean? And it's just so people just need to get back to just old school, like you said, just live your best life. Like, that's a quote everybody uses all the time in a hashtag, but nobody like really do it, and just be you're happy with yourself, and then see what good you can do. And that, again, this goes back to our Christian faith. Like you said, we're not trying to push the religion, but if
Right.
your base is God, like my aunt Sin has been my pastor for, I'm 38 for 34 years. Like, she is my spiritual advisor. She is the most godly person I know on the
Mm-hmm.
planet. And so I always, no matter how far I strayed, I knew I always had that back, and God forgives every time. But It's not like
Mm-hmm.
you're consciously thinking like, okay, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna do something. God's gonna forgive me. It's not that. It's just like in God's grace, no matter how bad you swayed, if you come back and plant your feet, He's gonna be there like it was day one.
He never gives up on you, Greg. You
Ever,
know,
ever.
he calls his herd always back. He brings his sheep right back to him every time, and you just gotta have faith, man. And like a friend of mine said, you know what, B, you started this. You know what? I'm gonna tell you one thing. You're gonna have to have God lead the way on this, because He's gonna set the path straight for you. He said you can't do it on your own. You know, and I took that advice, and I tell you what, He's changed a lot of things, and a lot of progress has happened in a short amount of time. Greg, I've gotten 430 members onto my group page within 2 weeks. 2 weeks. That's all it took. But I give all the glory to God first, you know, because, you know, like you said, we've came together with your project and my project. It's all coming together at one time, and this is meant to happen, you know. And I believe we can change things, you know, to stay the course and stay persistent and let God lead the way.
I mean, I agree 1000%. Like I said, being a Christian, like I said, this is the last time I'm gonna dwell on this, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
God gives you confirmation of things. Like it's called confirmation. And so I see things now, and it's just like one confirmation after another confirmation. But again, that's when look, we're all going to fall short. We're all going to make mistakes. But if you're living,
I agree.
if you're walking that walk and you're staying as true as possible, and my cousin Carla, like we used to walk all the time, and like we used to have these. That's why I said this whole thing for me almost started like 3 years ago. This whole process, I was talking to Carla and Quentin
Mm-hmm.
Brown. Everybody knows him as Choke, and these are two grounded spiritual people. And so
Amen.
it, and we just started, and like they got it rolling in my head, and then it's like from there, it's just like okay, it was being able to put it together and making sure it's right. And so then Michael came on board, and then Jasmine, who was brilliant and like a superstar, came on board. Then Nina came on board. Then all of a sudden, I know I got this great staff and this great team, and everybody's great at what they do. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, this is like happening. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so and then I'm looking at, I'm seeing from afar what you're doing, and this is like, okay, this is confirmation. He's supposed to be my first guest. That's God.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I said, I made a post on social media the other day. Greg Hackett got very little to do with this. If
Right.
you take between God and my staff, like I do this. I do the interview. I mean, I also do stuff behind the scenes, content, whatever. I'm not saying I'm insequential, but for the most part, I know what this is about. This is bigger than Gregory Hackett. Urban Intelligence ain't about me. The same
Right.
way like the committee isn't about you. It's bigger
Right.
than us.
You know, me, Greg, being a Steeler fan, I hate to refer to this,
Which
but
I don't like, but continue on.
yeah. Well, you know what? I hate to give credit to the biggest villain in Pittsburgh Steelers history, Tom Brady and those New England Patriots. You know what? A lot of those guys, man, you know, I don't know if a lot of people agree with me, but I give credit where credit's due. They won by a team effort, man. You know, it was a team effort. And a lot of their teams, I will admit, they didn't have the talent that a lot of teams have in the NFL, but you know, and you know, a little cheating there too. But you know, they won. You know, they
You
won
had to get a dig in.
yeah, I had to. You know, no disrespect to the New England fans out there and you know, people from Boston, but you know, they won as a team, Greg, and that's what I take it as too, man. We all have to have team effort in everything we do in collaboration. You know, because you know, no one man can do everything by himself. You know, and I give credit to your staff and my staff for bringing us far as we have as we come, and I think we'll go even further, man.
I have absolutely zero no doubts. And like I said, I gotta like we both have support groups and like my 2 years in Harrisburg, like I met a lot of great people up there and I built a lot of good relationships up there. My man D Dub, his name's Donald Wilson, but we call him D Dub. He owns a barbershop and he's just a cool dude and he like I mean, that's what I'm saying. This is bigger than me, man. Like Brandon and then Mitch, for like years and years and years. Like Mitch used to just put all of these like things into my head. Like I still remember them. Like I still
Good
vividly
people.
remember those conversations. And so,
Mm-hmm.
in order to be able to do this, like you got to have a good support group. And like you said, you're only as good as your team. You could be the biggest Fortune 500 company in the world. You could be Google or Facebook or General Electric. Go down the list. You're only as good as your team. That's it.
Right.
You
Right.
can
That's
have the
that's the
greatest
truth.
ideas. You can have the greatest business acumen. You can have as long as pockets as you want. If your team ain't good, eventually it's going to crumble. So, and it's always remaining humble enough to know, like, this isn't about me. I might be the face of it, you know what I mean? And you might be the president of that committee, but just always remember and maintaining, like, yo, this is bigger than me. So as long as we do that, we're going to build together. As urban intelligence builds, your committee's going to build. And hopefully, like I said, what Browns is doing, who knows, like the next township over might decide to do it. And then now all these townships and all the committees are staying in touch with each other. It's nice, like wishful thinking or like it's just blind optimism. I don't believe in that.
No,
I don't believe in that. Like that's what they used to always they used to always put that on Barack Obama, like he's this guy who's just spreading false hope. And it's not false hope. I understood the message that he was trying to portray. It's like it has to start somewhere. And if you're always cynical about something, then of course you're going to look at it from that point of view and you're hoping for it to fail. So you're not contributing nothing besides negative energy. You know what I mean? If you ain't going to be a part of it, at least just don't say nothing. Let it fail or succeed on its own merits, not what you chiming in. You know what I mean? Because you're not contributing anything.
Small ideas become big ideas, Greg. You know, that's it. It has to start somewhere. You know, you plant a flower in the ground, you know, it might be small at first. And you look like what, a couple months later, and the thing's like, you know, big as a house, man. I mean, like, you know, even what I'm referring to, even like a tree, you know. But, you know, it just takes positivity in this. And that's why in my committee, I always say us or our. You know, I never say me. I never say me because that alienates people. And I give all the thanks to my people that help along the way. Everyone has their own little niche, and they pitch in and they do their thing well, too. You know, I mean, there's some things I can't do that one of my other committees will do, members will do. Then there's members out there to just pitch in and help, you know, and they're good at what they do. But a lot of us, we're not good at it, you know, and they help out a lot, man.
Listen, I literally have one source of social media of myself, and that's Facebook. And I was off of that for 2 years. If it wasn't for Jasmine, who was the social media manager of Urban Intelligence, who handles all that, I never really been into social media like that. Like all my life, like I just never have. I always like had a Facebook and would post here and there, but as far as Instagram, Snapchat, all that stuff, I never had an account in my life. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you're only as good as your team, and that's what I mean. And even like my mother and my Uncle Los and my Uncle Charles and Uncle Vince and Aunt Donna, like these people, like all of that, like that's what I mean. That's why we got to get back to this in the family atmosphere, and like bringing people together. Because if you got that strong support group that will always like uplift, if you're already feeling bad about yourself and you're having a bad day or a bad week or a bad month or whatever this situation is, if you're around nothing but negative, how are you ever going to come out of that hole? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
Like,
right. And you know
what leads people. That's what leads people to go drink or go do drugs, because and I'm gonna be having a mental health specialist coming on here soon, and I actually got Nina's actually working on some things in that aspect, because that's big too in this area. Like depression is big around here, and mental illness.
Right.
And what happens is the mental illness part of people around here doesn't get addressed. So what people do is they self-medicate. So now you're looking at this person as like a drug addict or an alcoholic, but you don't know that they're just suffering from depression, and like that's how they manage it. You know what I mean? They don't want to be doing what they're doing. Like they're miserable every day of their life. You know what I'm saying? But if we have a support group and a system around here where people know, okay, I can call Brian, who's the president of the committee, or I can call Greg, who has urban intelligence. They can point me to a direction to get help. And and they know that people care. It'll change things. And like you said, it's not going to happen overnight, but one by one, things will begin to change. The domino effect will happen. We just got to keep our 10 toes down and stay focused, and don't be swayed by anything coming from, because no matter how good something that you're trying to do, you're going to always have negative energy coming at you.
Always.
It's going to happen. It's already happening to me. It's going to happen to you. It's just a reality situation. You got to stay focused, locked in. That's it. Stay focused and locked in, bro.
You got to block them out, Greg. And, you know, I look at it this way, too. You know, everybody's welcomed at my table, bro. You know, just like Jesus said, everyone's welcomed here. And you know what? You can't shut nobody out. If you give that person that's down and out and really don't have nothing going on in life, say like selling like baked goods for your drive for the committee, for my drive, or selling tickets from you give them a purpose in life. And they'll take those tickets and they'll look at it like, you know what? I got something to do now. I got something that's important. I feel like I'm a part of something now. And they'll go out and put their best effort in.
100%. And like I said, this is a big thing. This is your first time on the podcast, D, but it's not going to be your last. Like, we're going to stay in touch. Anybody who wants any information on the Republic Resurrect Committee can hit Brian Crawley up on your Facebook page. It's Republic Resurrect Committee on the Facebook too, right?
Yeah, no, Resurrect Republic Committee.
I'm sorry about that. Resurrect Republic Committee. And then Brian Crawley, do you have an Instagram, B, or just Facebook?
No Instagram. I got a Facebook page. It's Brian Crawley Jr. And you'll see my Facebook profile picture on there. And another thing, I like to give a shout out to my committee members. My wife, Sherry Crawley. I like to give another shout out to Roseanne Markovich, America Jeanette, and Roxanne O'Neill, and Michael Jones.
Okay. So you heard him. You want to give a shout out to any family members? Like, this is our podcast, B, so feel free.
Oh, my sister, Heather Crawley, my mother, Crystal Crawley, my father, Brian Crawley Sr. Without them, I wouldn't be who I am today. My cousins, Michael Jones, again, Erica Clark, Terry Clark, Robert Mason III, my Aunt Mary, Aunt Carm, my Uncle Terry, my Uncle Robert the second, and my Uncle Tony Bryant. And my cousin Gina, I hate to keep going, my cousin Gina Jenkins, and my Aunt Donna Bryant. And another thing I like to push too, if you don't mind, Greg, plug real quick. I will be having a ticket going off on June 22nd for the Resurrect Republic Committee. The money will be collected on June 15th, and tune into the Pick 3. And we have two numbers on this ticket, and it's for $1,000. So if I'd really appreciate it, and all my members and committee members really appreciate it if you would buy one. It's going to a good cause, and you will see the money put in the right place.
This is a very, very, very good man. Comes from a good family. I've known this man, like I said, all my adult life. And please, if you, like I said, we're talking, and if you just have the sense of doing good, you might have to donate all of your time or all of your money, but every little bit helps, whether it's your time or it's
Anything.
$5, like $10. It doesn't have to be 1,000. It doesn't have to be 500. Every nickel hurts. Every hour that you help, every hour that you put in helps. So don't think any contribution is too small. So I was honored and humbled to have you as the first guest. I'm gonna end this with, like, this is the first episode of Urban Intelligence, and so this is the type of conversations and dialogue that we're going to have going forward. That's why I put this thing together. But again, like Brian said, with his staff and his team, I couldn't honestly do this without Michael, Jasmine, Nina. Like, they make this thing go. You know what I mean? I'm just, like I said, I'm the face of it. And another thing, I won't be the face of it soon, because we got a photo shoot coming up where I'm gonna have kids and things taken. So once that's done, Greg Hack is no longer gonna be the face of Urban Intelligence, literally. I mean, I'll still obviously be conducting interviews, but like on the billboards and promos that we're doing, it's going to be, I mean, I'll still be in it, but I won't be you know what I mean? Because I don't want this to stand alone, and I don't want this to be Urban Intelligence to be about Greg Hackett. I want it to be bigger than that. And if people just see me, they're going to, you know what I mean, correlate it as this is Gregory Hackett. No, Urban Intelligence is bigger, and it can go on to do great things. I'm going to have mayors on. I'm going to have business owners on. I'm going to have politicians on. I'm going to have athletes on. Like, there's going to be, I'm gonna have, like I said, I got mental health experts coming on. I got drug abuse counselors coming on. I got people who was on drugs, who got off of drugs, coming on to tell their story. So the content that we're going to put out on here is going to be all over the board, things that affect us every single day. And then we're going to have good pieces too. We're going to have good humor pieces, something fun. It's not going to all be down. Like, if you watch the news, that's what sad Brian today about watching the news. It's like, it's all negative. Like, nobody wants to see negative all the time. You got to tell good success stories and have good things on to make people feel good. You know what I mean? So Urban Intelligence will be doing that as well. So this is the first of many. Obviously, we'll be changing things up. You guys are going to go with us. So next time I might be standing doing an interview. So we're going to figure it out until we get the right thing. But I was humbled and honored that Brian decided to be my first guest. I appreciate it, Brian. We'll be talking very soon, my friend.
I appreciate it, Greg, and I'm honored. And I would like to shout out 2 more people, if you don't mind. I would like to shout out my cousin Tamara Mason and my cousin Nadia Mason, too. Thanks.
Oh, you got so okay, B. I'll talk to you soon, buddy. Thank you for doing this.
Okay, man. You take care. God bless and stay healthy and stay safe.
Absolutely. Bless up, B.
Yep, you too.